What's up, docs and docettes? Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes critic here. And when I say here, where is here? Well, normally here is in my my crummy little apartment where you've seen all my videos and everything like that. But some of you have asked, hey, are you not going to comment on tunnel vision? I mean, did the naysayers chase you away, Mr. Thompson? Well, first of all, don't call me Mr. Thompson. That's my dad's name. And second, no, that's not what happened. I moved. I was in the process of moving, and I'm moving everything by myself, and I am not a fit man, as those of you who've seen the videos know. And I look like I ate Santa Claus. That's what I'm saying. And so I was on my own moving all this crap in here. So when I was like literally knee deep and sweating balls, moving all this stuff out here when tunnel vision came out. And I should say, I was given, at least to my knowledge, incorrect information. I was told it was supposed to come out on Wednesday, and by whoever it is that I'm officially speaking to, but it didn't. It came out on a Tuesday. A Tuesday! You're gonna get it on a Tuesday! So, anyway, here we are now. We're doing tunnel vision. The last two commentaries were obviously a success.
Ho ho, very funny. Ha ha, very droll.
Actually, they were a success, I should say, and major kudos go to Thad Komorowski, who pointed out in the comments to some of the naysayers. He pointed out that twice as many people were angrily commenting and watching and hate watching the commentary than were watching the actual cartoon itself. That being said, I do have a guest, and it's, I would say, a far less controversial guest, but by no means a softballer. I'm introducing to the world, at least to my world, my corner of the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Alexandra Bender, and
screening for a Looney Tunes short, Curse of the Monkey Bird. And quite honestly, I have never seen a Looney Tunes short on the big screen before. It was a really cool experience.
I found out about you from your video on YouTube where you reviewed Curse of the Monkey Bird. And I understand it was because you were at an ASIFA screening. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and so before we get into watching tunnel vision, I would like it if you talked about that a little bit, because in your video you just quite rightly you're better than me about being concise and to the point. In the interest of brevity, I assume you didn't really talk about the ASIFA screening itself, but rather just the cartoon. So if you would please just tell us a little bit about how you got invited to that and what you saw.
Sure. Well, I live in Los Angeles, and there's always screenings going on. You know the saying, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, you'll end up getting a haircut. Yeah. Well, I was invited to this screening. A friend of mine, shout out to my friend Nico, he's a member of ASIFA, and he invited me to this screening because he knows I like animation, knows that's what I'm pursuing. And the screening was for Curse of the Monkey Bird. I thought, oh, cool. I wasn't told where it was going to go, if it was going to be in front of a movie, but I thought it sounded fun. And I really liked the short. I thought it was a really cool experience because, again, I wasn't told what it was going to be for, but we were getting to see this cool short. So, yep, friend of mine, part of an organization. He knows I like animation. He invited me. We saw the screening. And there was a panel afterwards with the director, Pete Braungart. Mm-hmm. Did I say that right?
Yep, Pete Braungart. Yep, Uncle Grandpa.
Braungart. And talking about the short and how they animated it. They used a lot of similar processes to what they did in the old days. They were passionate fans who did their homework. And some of the challenges they faced, such as the one they talked about the most, was there's a scene where three characters are coming around the corner, Porky, Daffy, and the Monkey Bird. They talked about how that was the most challenging shot. They showed pencil tests. It's overall a cool experience.
Let's just go for simple entertainment value. How much would you say the audience enjoyed it? Were there a lot of laughs?
Oh, yeah, very much so. And as you saw in my review, I didn't want to spoil it because it was actually the first time in a while I'd seen a gag cartoon. Yeah. Normally what I'm watching nowadays on my own, I see a lot more sitcoms, a lot more story-based stuff. So it was cool to see this change of pace, this
I wanted to ask you about that because in the video you do say that. What would you say the last gag cartoon would be that you saw before this?
I watched. Oh, that is tough. Probably rewatching classic Looney Tunes shorts. Maybe a couple years ago, I just had an urge to watch some classic shorts. I'm more of a casual Looney Tunes fan, but every once in a while, I like to go back and revisit it.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted you here for a number of different reasons, but that one specifically, you are you are probably the closest thing to the target audience for these shorts. Now, a lot of people are in the comments are gonna say, no, Looney Tunes are for everyone, and you know that, Trevor, because you made a video called Looney Tunes are for everyone. Just stop. The classic Looney Tunes shorts were for everyone, yes, but it is a different time, and the fact is that in most cases, Warner Brothers, I'm not even just talking about cartoons, I'm talking about everything. Warner Brothers would much rather engage younger people because younger people are far less skeptical vis-a-vis this whole commentary. But what I mean to say is that you are going to be a lot more forgiving of this cartoon that we're about to watch, I would imagine. Because you're a casual Looney Tunes fan, I feel like these cartoons, what we've seen so far, and what I've seen, really means it's going to impress. It's going to impress a lot of people, but I think the group of us that are going to be the most impressed are the casual Looney Tunes fans, because as you said to me on the phone, you are by no means a member of the diehard fandom, and I can tell you, a lot of the diehard fandom. Okay, you know what? It's too early to get into that. Let's just watch the cartoon.
I love how vibrant it is. So bright.
It's a funny gag.
I love it. And I was excited to do this one because Roadrunner and Coyote were my favorite shorts as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
You got good taste. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about the Coyote and the Roadrunner is that I love that animation. They really are universal, and part of that is by virtue of the fact that there is no language, there's no dialogue to get bent out of shape about. Now, am I an old man, and are my eyes going? I laughed when that happened, by the way, I have to say.
Yeah. I went, because I can't think of another time I've seen the Coyote. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I can't think of the time when the Coyote actually went into the hole.
Yeah, it's an old take it's a new spin on an old take.
Yeah.
But now this is what I was saying before. Am I an old man, or are my eyes going away, or is the Coyote not purple in this cartoon?
I thought he was purple.
He looks really purple in this.
Huh.
To me.
Maybe it's the color capacity on our screens looking different. Also, I like the punchline.
I mean, I would argue, if you look at a Hershey's bar, and of course my fat ass knows what that is, but go look at a Hershey's wrapper. I promise you, if you look at it really closely, it's a deep, deep, deep purple.
I don't see purple. I see brown. But it's the dress all over again. Do you remember that meme? Is it white and gold? Is it blue and black? But
that's the problem, is that I'm objective in that, because I saw it both ways when people were like, it's blue, no, it's yellow, no, it's gold. I saw it all. I was like, I see what you're seeing. You know, I can see how you see in that shading, in that, light. I can see how it could be to talk about bugs on the Looney Tunes show. People complained that Jessica Barutsky designed Bugs to be purple because he is kind of a light purple, but you don't notice right away that he's purple. It's kind of a thing where you're watching and you've seen Bugs for years and you know that he's gray and all this other stuff. So you kind of don't notice right away that he's purple, and you're just like, oh, that's interesting. And it's kind of the same thing that we experience, us older generations when we would watch these cartoons on cable and network. The faded prints would, and Matt Hunter talked about this on one of our earlier videos, the faded prints would sometimes make Bugs either brown or blue. In fact, are you familiar with Tiny Toons?
Yes, I grew up with it.
Okay, the reason Buster is blue is because it's an in joke to the fact that so many times Bugs was accidentally blue on television broadcasts.
Huh.
But there's some kind of but there's some kind of weird thing, isn't there? Like when you see Bugs blue or brown, it doesn't really register as wrong right away because you're just so used to it. It's kind of close to the gray scale. I don't know. I'm certainly not a professional when it comes to color, but color is, to anyone who watches my commentaries knows, it is something that bugs me when they get the colors wrong. Now, you said you thought it looked really vibrant.
Yeah, particularly if the characters, the Roadrunner and the Coyote have these really bright, vibrant colors, whereas they look more faded in the older shorts.
Well, that's that's something that's a little bit upsetting to me and to people. I think to people that know a little more about this is because the restorations that you see on what you're going to see actually on HBO Max, because they're putting old cartoons, on HBO Max too, and they are actually going to be putting out some new restorations on that. But the problem that happens a lot of the time is that they're always billed as being. They're restorations, meaning we're making them look as good as they did when they came out, and we're not altering them. But that's not true at all. They alter the fuck out of them. And the reason they do it is because the color. Okay, what really happened, if I can be completely and brutally honest with you, is that what year were you born, if I may ask?
93. I'm 26.
Okay. So I would say almost 10 years before you were born, in Saturday morning cartoons, a study was released about vibrant colors and how kids respond to them. And it got misinterpreted, and that's why so many toys, and in turn, so many cartoons which are based on toys, are super brightly colored, regardless of if it actually makes sense to have those colors next to each other and stuff like that. I mean, it's garish looking back at it, some of the stuff. And it kind of just, for generations, you would see, it's gotten a lot better now, I have to say. A lot of TV shows now, the color has gotten a lot better, but there are still, I see it a lot, these remnants from the 80s and 90s of these overly bright, garish, like the trees aren't green, they're fucking neon. They look like tennis balls. It's like, why? And they know that they have to, they're showing these cartoons on channels that are also showing these modern cartoons. And if anything, with most young people smells of getting close to black and white, it's old and I don't care. So I have a hard time judging the color on these new cartoons because I know they're trying to do homage to the old stuff, but they're still, in many ways, I would say stuck in the modern trappings.
Modern trappings? Personally, I thought, because it's not going to be the old shorts, it's a new iteration. You got to combine the best of the old and the new. And because if you're doing the old way, only that way, it gets stale. And times do change, tastes change. Personally, I thought, and the way I liked how the Coyote and Roadrunner looked, because they're very bright and vibrant. They stick out, and it keeps the focus on the characters. I thought the backgrounds were also nice, really nice too. Nice contrast because it looks like the older shorts, but at the same time, it's still really, really nice artwork. It's familiar, and they change up the gags quite a bit too. So you got the familiar, but you also have enough new stuff to keep it fresh. I do. I have to be honest, but I also have to, people have to remind me that, if I say to them, no, I did like these cartoons, they go, well, we heard your commentary. It didn't sound like you liked it. It's like, okay, I feel like it should be a given that I like these cartoons, but I feel like so far I don't love them, and I feel like there's I feel like a lot of the people in our fandom
need for, I feel like their love of their supposed love of these cartoons, they need for it to be made the way that the old ones were. And that's never going to happen again. And I feel like if that's important to you, that these classic looking cartoons made today, if it's so important to you that they be made the classic way, of course, commentaries like the last two that I did with Greg are going to upset you. But I guess I don't feel like I said anything wrong or bad. I will say this, because there's a lot of really ridiculous people that, Greg got a lot of comments. He heard "Okay Boomer" a lot, which was very mature. Boomer will live. I couldn't ever say that anything that he said was untrue, but I will say this. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know, but I'm open to the idea that perhaps critiquing it so harshly and allowing for critiques of these first two to be so harsh before they've even come out is maybe not the way to go.
I mean, critique is fine if it's, but at the same, there comes a point where do you critique it to the point where you can no longer enjoy it? And focus on, there is a lot of good stuff in here. And it's also, there's the understanding, it's not going to be exactly the way it was back then. Times have changed, tastes have changed, technology's changed, but people making it are clearly passionate, clearly talented, clearly know their stuff. And it's also, there's such a legacy with Looney Tunes. No matter what you do, it's not going to please everybody. But at the same time, you want to focus on the good stuff. What is true of the spirit of Looney Tunes? You want to, personally, there's so much criticism out there, and some good faith, some bad faith, some focusing on the minor stuff. For me, I don't want to prevent that from enjoying something that's great and admiring the talent of all these wonderful people who are continuing the legacy of these really great characters, this really great storytelling. Have all the shorts worked? No, but that's even true of back then. And honestly, I thought this one was one of the best I've seen. This and Monkey Bird were two of the best I've seen. I liked what this one did. Simple premise. It changes up the gags. It builds up to a very strong punchline, and it keeps the madness going.
So you mentioned also that you're a Looney Tunes fan, and you said to me on the phone you have your favorite characters. Why don't you just talk about being a casual Looney Tunes fan?
Sure. I grew up with Looney Tunes. I watched way too much TV as a kid, and Looney Tunes was on a lot, but I always really enjoyed it. My favorite characters as a kid were Roadrunner and Coyote. I liked the setting. I liked Roadrunner because I liked the fact that he was really fast. I thought that was really cool. I liked the design. I liked birds. So he was fun. I liked the violence. I loved the Coyote falling off a cliff. I loved watching him get hit in the head. I loved his schemes blowing up in his face. I guess maybe it's the savage in me, but I appreciated the violence and the creativity. Now I like Porky and Daffy because they're such a funny team up. I really like, and Curse of the Monkey Bird was a good example of that. I saw Wet Cement. I liked it. I thought it's fun to watch Daffy screw around with Porky. I've seen some other shorts. There was another Looney Tunes show. I can't remember which one, but there was a couple I've seen. It's just Daffy screwing around with Porky. They're a great team up. They work well off each other. I like the energy that they bring in each other. They're a fun team up. So I'd say they're my favorite team up nowadays.
So yeah, we all identify with the loser characters in a lot of ways because we are. But in a weird way, Bugs has always been, what I wanted to be, the righteous heckler.
Yeah, he always has the cool one-liners. He's always one step ahead. And I can imagine it must be so tough writing for Bugs Bunny, especially because he's such an icon. There's so many people to please. There's actually a story about that. I forget which animator it was, but it was a visiting animator. He wasn't one of the regulars in the old days. And the way that because they don't write scripts in the old days, in the old cartoons.
But he wrote back to his mom that he made it out to California, and he was working in the story gag department. And so he said to his mom, "Hey, Mom, I'm writing scripts for Bugs Bunny." And she reportedly wrote back, "Well, that's great, son, but I've seen Bugs' cartoons. I don't think he needs your scripts."
Sounds like Mom should be writing.
Yeah. Well, the apple doesn't fall far, hopefully. So what would you grade this cartoon?
Honestly, I'd give it an A. Again, it's the best of the old. It's got some new stuff, keeps the madness going. It's a simple story. It takes every opportunity, changes things up, focuses on the characters as it should be. It's familiar. It's different. I'd give it an A. You don't even give it any deduction for how it's just one gag and it's a minute and a half. Maybe it's not even a full cartoon. I was actually surprised by that, but at the same time, I'd rather have a minute 40 and it's solid versus 5 minutes and it meanders. It does its job. It does its job well. So it takes an idea and it runs with it, and it builds up to something strong. It's a strong story. I don't like the animation. I don't like a lot of the colors. He kind of disappears for me when he goes into the rock itself. He kind of blends. The colors are too close to that, and I fucking hate the walleyes in the Roadrunner. I don't know. He's an intelligent character. He's not a bullfrog, and I said something in the last commentary that a lot of people have in private agreed with me, which is that a lot of this feels like Ren and Stimpy, and one of the main trademarks of Ren and Stimpy, and it's a kind of a joke too, is that sometimes if a character isn't doing anything significant, they'll just kind of go wall-eyed. And is this when the Roadrunner is holding the hose? Yeah. Wall-eyed means that the eyes go opposite directions. Mm-hmm. And it's very bullfrog. And part of the wall-eyed thing is that One Froggy Evening is one of the best cartoons, I think, of all times that Chuck directed. Do you know which one that is? The one with the singing frog? Correct. And hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. That one? That one, exactly. And part of the rule of thumb about wall-eyed, creatures is that when that thing is alive and dancing, it looks like a cartoon character. But the second it goes limp and it's supposed to be a real frog, it's always wall-eyed. It's looking the other way because that's what an animal does. It's an animal when it's just sitting there doing the little thing. But the second it puts on the top hat and everything, those eyes go together and they're symmetrical and they're cartoony and fun and energetic. Nothing like a real frog. Mm-hmm. So I'm going, well, why, it looks weird that it's an odd style choice. And I've heard a lot of people say this might get a little bit more nitpicky for your taste, but I've heard some people say that, well, this is supposed to be, what if Bob Clampett had directed a Chuck Jones Roadrunner cartoon, and it hadn't been Chuck, it had been Bob? Well, for starters, it would have looked a little better. And second, still fantastic work. And I think the timing would have been a lot more razor sharp. Now, sometimes the timing, I would be interested to go a little more in depth to learn about the timing, because sometimes in a lot of these TV animation scenarios, the timing can get lost between the animatic storyboard phase and the actual, animation phase. But I don't know. And at the same time, there's also such tight deadlines in television. Yeah. But still. So let's you gave this an A. Let me give this a letter. Let me give this a letter grade. Excellent story, simple, to the point. They're true to the characters are true to themselves. All right, here's the curve. I'll give if we're comparing these to the old cartoons, the old Roadrunners, I give this a C minus. If it just on its own merits, I give it a C plus. No, B minus. I give it a B minus on its own merits. Are you? I'll put you on the spot. Are you going to get HBO Max to watch these? No, I am very, very cheap. So no, I'm going to be watching what they put on YouTube.
Well, they're not. I don't know that they are putting it on YouTube. At least not. Well, they'll probably do, a couple odd cartoons here and there. But what'll probably happen, although now that I'm saying this, knock on wood, make a liar out of me. What I think will happen is they'll end up doing what they do with a lot of. I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube channel WB Kids.
WB Kids, yeah, they post some content here and there. I've seen their stuff.
Right. Well, that's basically what it is they do these compilation reels of little clips of cartoons, and that's probably what it'll be. They'll probably put clips of the new cartoons in with clips of the old ones, and they'll, do it that way. But, depending on how successful it all is with the streaming service and the cartoons themselves, I would imagine if it's successful, you won't see many full-length cartoons on YouTube. Short of a certain Looney Tunes Critic's commentaries of them. So yeah, we'll end there. Thank you so much, Miss Bender, for sitting and dealing with me and my nonsense and my cynicism, my old manness, and for doing your research too, because I found you and you didn't know me from Larry, and you could have just as easily, all right, I'll talk whatever you want, whatever time, and you were really cool, man. You did your research.
Well, thank you. Thanks for willing to do this with me. Thanks for asking me to be on the show and talking about cartoons with me.
Well, that's easy. It's super easy, by the way. Super easy to get me to talk about cartoons. In fact, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've devoted a large chunk of my time and a YouTube channel to that very activity. A YouTube channel which, by the way, I should mention is thankfully enjoying some newfound love, which I want to take some time to thank you all sincerely for. A less intelligent person might read the comments in the last two commentaries and think that maybe things have gotten dire, but the numbers do not lie, folks. Hell, I got 442 subscribers in April alone, just in anticipation of these new cartoons. Well before these commentaries and cartoons, by the way, came out. I mean, April. So there's, speaking of YouTube channels getting some love, please give Miss Bender's channel some love. You can see her videos and reviews on display at Amazon Kane. Is that right? Alexandra? You can see her, I don't think she's there anymore. You can see her personal projects on there too. And speaking of which, I'm still working on my review for these new shorts and the history that got us to this point. And I must say it's getting tougher to get done because with every new cartoon that comes out, everyone's comments, my commentaries, and the guests that I have, there's more to consider like every day. I mean, I've literally changed my mind on that review twice now, which if you've ever made a review before, to have that happen is a major pain in the ass. That's like if you're building a house and right as you're about to put the roof on it, you realize that the basement is fucked up and you have to start all over. And you can't build upon a flimsy foundation. And I've had a lot to consider these past few weeks. So, yeah. Is she here? So yeah, keep it here for more information. Did I lose her? Alexandra? Fucking Skype. Anyway, keep it here for your... No, I'm still on Skype. I don't see her anymore, but I'm still... Anyway, I don't know. I'll fix it later. But yes, cut all this out later. Keep it here for all your Looney Tunes cartoons reviews and news, and of course, that includes the classic Looney Tunes stuff as well. And the commentaries every Saturday morning on the regular shorts. And in the meantime, folks, that is going to do it for this commentary. I'm Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes critic, and until next...
Trevor.
Who said that?
It's Greg. It's Greg Duffel.
Greg? Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much. Just wondering, how the commentary went.
It went pretty good. Alexandra had some points, and it was an interesting conversation. It was for the new Tunnel Vision cartoon. I assume you've seen that.
Oh yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh, what'd you think of it?
Well, I need to do a whole commentary about it.
Well, you may think that your Looney Tunes collection is sufficient enough. I might think it's sufficient or deficient. Oh, I just have a few dolls and the DVDs here. Well, that's of course not everything, but what I have are the best versions available. Some of the best versions available of these cartoons that you're likely to find anywhere. And so if you want to learn more about them or more about the restoration process of these cartoons or the history of these cartoons, any number of things related to Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, you're going to want to subscribe or click on one of those videos up there. You're going to want to do it. Trust me.